So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, I got tagged a little while ago by Debs over at Rainer Read Stuff. In this tag, the BookBuds second original tag, this one looks like a very fun one to do. Thanks very much, Debs, for that tag. This was created, as I say, by the BookBuds. They have, I think this was around before, but they've recently revived this tag. Here's what they had to say about it. We're all book buds here on BookTube, so let's have some fun with our buds and see who has the strength of character to help us out in some unusual circumstances. The way that this works is rather than tagging people at the end of the video, if your name comes up in my answers, you can consider yourself tagged. There will be people in here who have already been tagged, or who've already done the tag, but that's fine. That is the way of it. Let's just have a bit of fun with this one then. So the questions. Number 1, you're stuck on a deserted island and can only bring one booktuber bud, but all their books would come with them. Who do you want to be stuck with? This one is a relatively easy one for me. That would have to be Mr. Troy Tradup. And largely this is because in terms of Troy's books, he has a lot of different sorts of books, lots of sci-fi, horror, poetry, plays, various different sorts of stuff. He also has lots of fancy books, which, you get even more out of those looking at the lovely illustrations and things like that. In terms of like plays is a good one. Troy and I both have a theatre background in some shape or form. And I could probably convince Troy to do some sort of one-man performances of the plays. I don't think that would be too hard, get him to do all the voices, things like that. My background's in kind of theatre construction, carpentry, stage management, that kind of thing. So I could make the sets and a little stage out of whatever resources we have on the island, and then just let Troy go nuts doing performances. That's my entertainment sorted anyway. We're both writers as well. So if we ran out of books, we could write things for each other to read. Or if we didn't want to read, we could, go off and write. I could probably make something usable again from the natural resources for us to write on. Or if necessary, I could, pulp down some of the Dickens that would come with Troy, because I probably wouldn't want to read that side of his library, and reuse that for writing something new. I'll make a palimpsest out of that. So yes, I can hear him screaming heresy from Minnesota right now. Yes, and I think the added bonus with Troy is that we could talk incessantly about everything and anything till the end of time. But we also both quite like our quiet time, our personal space. So I think there's less likelihood that we'd probably get on each other's nerves or try, end up killing one another if we were stranded, the only two humans stranded on a desert island for any length of time. So question number 2 is you accidentally rob a bookstore with a booktuber bud by walking out with 100 books. You spend a year behind bars with them, but now you can read and do videos together. Who do you get locked up with? For this one, I have gone with Debs over at Rainer Read Stuff. Debs and I have some crossover in what we read, but generally we read quite a lot of different stuff. But we're both really interested in trying new sorts of books, and we'll generally try anything once, I think. So we don't have loads to talk about. Having done a buddy read with Debs, especially on a book that isn't my usual sort of thing, I can attest to how great it was to chat about that book with her, and how much more I got out of it because of that conversation, because of that interaction. Debs has got a really good sense of fun as well, really good sense of humour. So I reckon we could make some highly entertaining, very rambly videos just chatting about random books that we might find in the prison library. Debs is into crafting as well, arts and crafts. We can make a lot of arty stuff as well as reading. So yeah, I think Debs would just be a great partner in crime, to be honest. So yeah, Debs at Rainer Read Stuff is who I would spend a year in jail with. Okay, Prompt number 3 is you magically get trapped in a murder mystery you are reading. Another booktuber bud joins you to solve the mystery. Who do you want to join you? Okay, well, it depends on what kind of murder mystery we're talking here. If it was a cozy murder mystery, then I would absolutely have to go for Nadine at Tomb Raider. So I'm talking like the Agatha Raisin type thing, you know, that sort of cozy mystery. Because I think with Nadine's help, like we would Nancy Drew the hell out of that murder mystery. Anything involving baked goods or knitting, you know, stuff like that, we'd nail it. If it was something more gritty and sort of more crime thrillery murder mystery than cozy, then it's got to be Ollie over at Criminolly for the hard-boiled stuff. Ollie's knowledge, I think, of that sort of grittier crime thriller would be invaluable, especially because mine is not so great. So I think he'd be perfect in that situation for some of the darker, grittier crime stuff. Okay, prompt number 4. You magically get trapped in a fantasy novel, fighting dragons and casting spells. Which booktuber bud do you choose to bring with you to save the day? I don't follow that many people who are real fantasy readers, in the most part, because I'm not really a fantasy reader myself. But the one that does read some fantasy, quite a bit of fantasy, and the sort of stuff that I'm just starting to get into, is Andrew over at It Came From The Page. Out of all of the booktubers I know, Andrew's by far and away got the most fantasy in his reading. Plenty of like grimdark stuff as well, so he could handle the murkier side of things. It does a lot of choose your own adventure, game books, lit RPGs, that kind of thing, so he'd be good with strategy, I think, as well. Plus, he comes with an army of cats, who would be great in a scrap, I think. I think Andrew would be spot on in that situation. Okay, prompt number 5 then is you are stuck in the cloud of sadness, hitting a reading funk and feeling totally uninspired. Which booktuber bud can pick you up with their positivity? Well, first off, before I mention any specific people, everyone. That's why I love BookTube. That's why I watch BookTube. That's why I started watching BookTube, and what got me into wanting to do my own videos is just that everybody brightens my day when I watch their videos. Everyone is is kind of one answer. But if I'm going to be specific, then the first one that comes to mind, mainly because he's just released his own original tag, which is the positivity tag, and tagged me in it, is Gareth over at Book Songs and Other Magic. Gareth will always find something positive to say, and just does a lot of really lovely videos about positivity, whether it's around books, music, films, life in general. He's just one of those people who can always lift my spirits, lift my mood. Gareth is certainly one. And the other one that comes to mind as well is Crystal at Fibre Artsy, because Crystal's just so down to earth, lovely, funny, just kind of, again, another one that just really picks me up if I'm having a bit of a day. Just very easy to watch. Like I think both Gareth and Crystal, something I like about their channels is it's kind of like having it's a little bit like a FaceTime with a friend, except it's just one-sided. It's one of those. It's just really easy to watch, down to earth, personable, relatable kind of chat, and really warm personalities. So yeah, those two in particular, I would say, are some of the most positive folks. Okay, prompt number 6. Your arms are in cast for 2 months, and a booktuber bud is going to edit all your videos for you. Who edits them and why? Okay, firstly, I'll just say that the possibility or the idea of that actually happening in reality scares the hell out of me, because I'm quite protective over editing stuff. Not that my editing is brilliant or anything like that. It's just I like things done a certain way. for my general videos, like ones like this where I'm sat in front of the camera chatting, I would have to go with Nick from another BookTube channel. He's got a real just tight, minimalistic sort of style of editing. It's subtle, no nonsense, and that's kind of what I'd want. I just want somebody to come in and just take over and just kind of do a good quality job on my stuff. And Nick's definitely one that I think I could trust with that. My vlogs, on the other hand, my weekly vlogs, I would have to hand them over to the mild Rumpus. I love Rumpus's vlogs. That's kind of one of the things that inspired me to try and do vlogs myself. But I just love his choice of music, B-roll footage, the general sort of shape and feel of them. And so yeah, I think mine will be in very safe hands there. In fact, they'd probably be way better if Rumpus did them than when I do. So yeah, those two folks I think would be spot on for my editing. Okay, and the final question 7, is you press a button and instantly have to read all the books that a booktuber bud has already read. Which bud would you pick and why? This one was a really difficult one. Because again, there's so many folks out there who I could quite happily read their entire back catalogue, their entire library, do you know what I mean? But I've gone for Lecton from Reading from the Depths. Mainly because in the comments of my videos and in his own videos now that he's making his own content, Lecton always gives me so many great suggestions for things to read, often based on what I've said that I've liked in that video. My wish list is always getting new stuff added to it because of his recommendations. And I think I would find some absolute gems in Lecton's reading history. There's a lot of short stories, anthologies in there, loads of queer fiction, lots of horror, science fiction, fantasy. There's loads of stuff that would be right up my street. I don't think I would ever get bored. There'd be a huge range of stuff to dig into. And as I say, I think I'd just find some absolute gems of stuff that I just probably wouldn't have come across on my own. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, Lecton from Reading from the Depths. So there we go, folks. Those are the booktuber buds that I would trust in these strange situations that we've got in these prompts. So if your name has been mentioned in my answers, then you are tagged. Although obviously no pressure to do the tag. If you fancy it and you haven't done it, give it a crack. And likewise, if your name doesn't pop up but you like the sound of this one, then consider yourself tagged. So that was a good fun little tag to do. I do hope you enjoyed it as well. Thank you very much for watching, folks. As always, do drop your thoughts in the comments below. It's always lovely to hear from you. I will be back tomorrow with my final wrap up for Garb August, covering week 4's reading and generally, looking at the month, looking back at the month as a whole, seeing whether I've met my challenge of filling in the bingo board and reading all the prompts and all that kind of stuff. So I do hope you'll join me for that then. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.